Welcome back to Mom's channel. Today we have the little mini sewing machine. I'm going to show you how to operate this if you already have one. Mine has Magic Fly written on it, but I have seen these with a lot of different company names on here, so I'm guessing someone manufactures them and then people put their own name. So if yours looks like this and they have different colors, then this is the same machine. It's a very interesting little machine here. So let's have a look first off at what's in the box. This is your machine that comes in. Now I got this, it was a kit deal on Amazon. I'll drop a link down in the description, and it had all these extras included. All of them will have the foot pedal and your electric plug-in. This also operates off of battery. You can put batteries in the bottom, so that's pretty cool. It does say that if you operate it off of electricity, please take your batteries out, so make sure you do that. Mine also came with this nifty little extension table that it has legs under it that come out, and you can slip it right on here, and it gives you a little bit more sewing space, so that's pretty cool. It has a storage bag with it, plenty big enough to put the machine and the table in. It comes with quite a few extra bobbins, and this uses the metal bobbin like this. So 2 of these are pre-wound, 2 are empty. It also has an extra needle and this handy little needle threader. Now mine also came with a little sewing kit right here that has a huge assortment of threads and pre-wound bobbins. It also has a measuring tape and some extra needles, a thimble, some scissors, another needle threader, and this right here is a seam ripper. So if you purchased this machine for a smaller child or much younger adult to operate, please remove this before you give it to them or shortly after, because these things are incredibly sharp and very dangerous. So please take that out. They don't need that. Okay? If you are using it yourself, please use it with caution. I have hurt myself more with a seam ripper than anything else while I'm sewing. So that's what is in the box. Let's see if we can get you rolling with it. First thing we're going to do is attach the power source and the foot pedal. The power source plugs in right here, and the foot pedal plugs in just above it, just like that, snaps in, and we'll plug this in into an outlet. Okay, once it's plugged in, it is on, so be aware of that fact. It's got power now. And if you press your foot pedal while it's on, the needle will go up and down. So move the foot pedal well out of the way, or you could even disconnect it for this part. Okay, right here when you get your machine, you have a bobbin full of thread already attached. You can use this for your upper thread. You can pull this up. This little thing right here just pulls up to hold your thread. Next, we're going to be ready to start threading the needle. Now, this guard right here is wonderful for children. I really love this little feature. But for now, we're going to remove it so we can thread the needle. Just squeeze towards the back and it will come right up. Now we have that. We're also going to take the bobbin out. So slide this, get it out of your way, and then just lift the bobbin out and put it aside. The first thing we're going to do is wind a new bobbin. And I know we have plenty of pre-wound ones, but I want you to see how this operates. So take one of your empty bobbins, no thread. In the back, this is your hand wheel, and in the back of this is where you're going to wind your bobbin. So you're going to push this and rotate it this way, and that little stick pops out. Let me show you. If you want to push it in, rotate to the back, it stays in. Pop it out, rotate to the front, and it comes out. And your bobbin will fit right on there when we get ready to wind it. So let's get a spool of thread, and we're going to put it up here on our spool holder. Then we're going to take the thread and we're going to come up through one of these holes. It doesn't matter which one. Okay. And then I like to hold it for just a little bit and wind a few rounds on it. We're going to put it on this and tighten up. Okay, this button right here makes the machine come on. In fact, the top button turns a little light on, so you can turn that on if you want to. I don't notice that it makes a lot of difference. And then we can either push this button or we can use the foot pedal. Either way. So I'm just going to push the button. Now that's what's going to make this start turning. Now while it's turning, you need to hold the tail out to the right to keep it out of the way. And you will also have to guide your thread back and forth so that you get a nice evenly wound bobbin. After you make a few rounds, you can take your scissors from your little kit and you can snip your tail off right there. And then just be sure that you hold this out and keep going back and forth, because if you don't, what happens is the thread starts wrapping around the post in there. So while the machine is going, you need to be sure that you're holding it. I find it also helps ever so often if you push that back on your spindle there, because it will pop off. Okay, and that's going to be plenty. Once you get as much as you want on there, you just pull this off and snip your thread with your scissors, or this machine has a nice little thread cutter right over here on the end, and it will just snap your thread. Okay, while we're on the buttons over here, the top button, as I said, turns the light on and off. This button in the center, you can make the machine sew without having to press the foot pedal. It will just sew straight. And I don't like to sew that way, but it is handy while you're winding the bobbin. The bottom one adjusts your speed. For example, up is on high speed, so if you turn it on and hit this button, you can see that it slows up significantly, which might be really good for a new learner. Okay, so we have a bobbin. Let's put the bobbin into the bobbin casing. You want your bobbin thread to be coming off the right side so that it makes like a number 9. It's coming off of this side over here, like the number 9. Then you're going to drop it right into where the little holder is. Pull your thread some, and this little channel right here, pull out about 6 or 9 inches of that. They say make it a 9 and pull out 9, so it's the 9 trick. Alright, once you get done with that, you can slide your cover back into place till it snaps. Okay. Our bobbin is loaded. Now let's work on the thread. Alright, you can use a thread attached to this, or you can use a thread here, or you can use a thread spool holder in the back, which is probably what I will use eventually because I don't like the way that rattles. This you can remove if you want to. You just pull it off. Now when you pull it off, be careful because there's a spring in the back of it that you'll probably have to replace. Don't lose it, so be ready for that to come out. And then you can just put that on there if you want to. Just like that. Okay? So let's go ahead. I'm going to load from up here. Now, this is number 1 if you're using a bobbin. I'm not, so I'm going to head right on over here to number 2. Okay, so aiming for number 2, there's a little wire guide there that we need to thread from right to left. So we're going this way. Just going to slip it right through that guide and then bring it right up slowly. I don't want to get thread wrapped around anywhere else or tangled up. Okay, we have it through number 2. So next we need to go through these discs right here. You see the crack in there? Those will come apart. Your thread has to go down in there. You have to pop it down in there. So lay your thread right on top of the crease, then hold it with one finger on one side and pull it with the other until it gets down in there. Okay? Now we're ready for number 4. This is another little wire guide right here, and we are going to go through it from right to left. Just push it right up through there. Bring it on over. Now watch your thread. Don't let it get tangled up on other things. Okay? And right now I can tell you this is really tight. So I am going to loosen it up some. If you turn this to the left, it gets looser. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. So loosen that up till you don't have quite so much tension. You don't want it just free falling, but alright. Oh yeah, that's much better. Okay, next, number 5 is our take up lever. Now you don't see anything up here. So what you're going to do is come over here to your hand wheel. Let me push this back in. And you're going to rotate the hand wheel to you. You see that little metal thing coming up? That is your take up lever. And once again, you see the little hole in the end of it? We're just going to insert this thread just like this. And we're going to make sure that we don't get it tangled up in the meantime. There we go. Okay, so we're through the first few. Now we're going to start moving down towards the needle. Right here is our number 6 guide, and it's just a little wire loop right here. We're going to put the thread straight down through the loop. Just like that. And making sure we don't get anything tangled up. Okay, then the next one, to the side of the needle right here, there is, and that's a little bit hard to get a shot of, there's a little metal plate right here with a hole in it. You're going to go from top down. So just bring your thread over here to the side. And drop it right down in there. Right down through there. And got a little mess going on. Okay. There we go. Now we are ready to thread the needle. Most sewing machines today thread from front to back. This is based on an older model. In fact, the thread path on this is quite similar to the older Singers, so that's quite interesting. This needle threads from left to right. So we're going to go in this side and come out the other side. And I'm going to snip off a little bit of thread so that I have a nice clean cut. I like my up here. And we're just going to go in side to side just like that. Okay, so I went in this side and back out the other. If you're interested in using the needle threader that comes with it, it is pretty helpful in this machine because it goes from side to side. What you do is take your needle threader and you're going to come in on the right side of the needle. Just push the little wire parts through the hole of the needle and out the other side. Just going to push right out through the other side. Then you take your thread, because it's a little bit easier to thread from front to back, push it through the wire part, the little wire loop, and then pull it right through your needle, just like that. That does seem to help quite a bit on these side-to-side needles, okay? Now, we're going to lift up the presser foot. On the back of your machine, this is what raises your presser foot. When you lift this lever up, you see your foot came up. Now, take the thread and you want to put it in between the sides of the foot so that it's going right through the back on the center. So just slip it right in between these two teeth and take it to the back. Now, let your presser foot back down and we are ready to do what we call pulling up the bobbin. So we're going to turn it around. Now, hold your upper thread out, put some tension on it, and turn the wheel toward you. And you see, it just pulled up the loop from the bottom. So you can lift your foot back up if it's hard to get in there. And I usually have to swoop something under there, like these little scissors, but you want to catch that bobbin thread and pull it up through the hole. Now, both threads are on the top. Slide them towards the back, and you are ready to sew. Now, this does not have any kind of stitch length guide or anything else. So let's just get a piece of fabric and put it under here and see how it does. Now that we have it all threaded, let's sew a seam. First, I'm going to, if you got the model with the little extension table, I'm going to slip it on there, make sure it doesn't catch your threads, and pull your threads all the way to the back. Now, I've got my fabric. You want to slip it under here, and you're going to reach back behind it and let that foot down, okay? Hold on to your thread tails in the back. You're just going to want to keep tension on these. You're not actually pulling. Turn the hand wheel toward you until the needle goes into the thread, into the fabric. Now we're ready to sew. So we're going to, and keep a little bit of tension on this. Like I said, you're not pulling it, you're just keeping it from sucking the threads back under the machine. So give it a little tap. And usually when you are sewing a seam, you want to back stitch a little bit to lock your seam. This sewing machine doesn't have a reverse stitch, but all you have to do is lift your foot up, rotate your fabric around. Now make sure the needle is down in the fabric so your fabric doesn't move. You spin it around, let your foot back down, and sew a couple of stitches back that way. Then, with the needle sunk into the fabric, lift up again, spin it around, and sew. And then continue on to the edge. Now when you get to the end, if you want to lock it, you do the same thing. Put your needle down in the fabric, lift your foot, spin it around, take a couple of stitches this way, needle back down, foot up, spin around, and now for this machine, you're going to sew off of your fabric about 9 inches, give or take, 6 to 9. You just want enough thread there so you can, now see, I pulled too hard and I broke my thread. That's what happens. Just enough so that you can snap it. So don't pull too hard on your thread or you'll break it. If you find that your stitches are puckering too much, you can turn this to the left to loosen up this tension a little bit. Maybe work on those, pull a little bit. Well, now for my 2 cents worth. I don't usually like to give an opinion on any of the sewing machines I do tutorials on because I figure the best sewing machine is the sewing machine that you actually have. And I'm just trying to help people learn how to operate and get the best out of whatever sewing machine they happen to find themselves possessing. So, as far as this one goes, it could have its place. If you already know how to sew, if you are quite good at working with machinery, it could serve its purpose, you know, to mend some clothes, to take with you camping or whatever for emergencies. It definitely, you know, has a place. And it's not that it's a bad machine. It's just, like I've said earlier, this thread path is based on the older sewing machines, back before we had electronic tension. Tension is major. Everything else about this machine is perfectly workable, but this tension guide right here with the disc, you have to fidget with it. You have to continually keep adjusting it. And if this is for a child or someone who is new to sewing, I think it's going to be quite frustrating. So I would not recommend this for someone who is just learning how to sew. If you have this and you're learning how to sew, please don't think that this is, you know, as good as it gets. There are some wonderful machines for just a little bit more than what this one costs. And if you will go to my channel link, I'll put a link down there to the little brother that's like $80, I think. It's an exceptional machine. I really love it. So while I don't want to say anything bad about this adorable little machine, I just don't think it's going to be great for someone who already doesn't know how to sew. So if you have one, let me know what you think. Maybe I'm wrong. It might be worth a try. And hit the subscribe button. Come back to see me. Bye.